And welcome to this episode of the Selling Through Partnering Skills podcast, where I'm delighted to be joined by Mark Hunter, aka the Sales Hunter, author of A Mind for Sales. And he's just told me, oh, and some other books, Fred. Which made me feel a little bit inferior. I've only got one, Mark. But anyway, no, Mark, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. And when you asked me that question, I had to look over at the bookshelf and see what's over on the bookshelf. So, hey, it's great to be with you. Yeah, we're going to have a good time.
He honestly did do that. That's not just he was like, oh, I don't know. He's like, look behind him. Where I don't know if you're watching this, you'll see it. But if you're hearing, he's got a sign behind him with the Mind for Sales. That's the obvious one. I think we have to look across. No, we should have a lot of fun, and hopefully we can really give some good stuff for salespeople to think about PQ or partnering skills and how they can bring that into their sales approach to get a good modern collaborative ethos, which I know we share because I've seen a lot of your writings.
Yeah.
So let's crack on and start talking about trust. So trust for me, I always start on this one. Anyone who listens to this knows I start on trust because for me it is the foundation of relationships, of communication, so key for sales. How can a salesperson build trust?
Well, I use the phrase trust is the currency of business, because if you stop and think about it, business really does not occur unless there's a level of trust, and trust impacts price more than anything we can imagine. Let me give you a quick example. If you're really confident that something's going to work, you're cool with the price. If you're not sure, you don't have trust in it, then guess what? You're looking for a discount. So I tell salespeople, if you want to sell at full price, start selling with trust. Trust is really, it's almost a shame we have to talk about it, because really, if you stop and think about it, the fact that we have to talk about trust means that there's a lot of non-trust out there, because really trust should just be in the air. It should just be part of what we breathe and what we do. But it's the salesperson delivering on the expectations. It's the salesperson setting the right expectations. It's the salesperson carrying through on what they say they're going to do. And you know, the way you measure trust is, do people trust themselves? When somebody says, I'm going to get this done tomorrow, do they actually get it done? You know, and it's a commitment to themselves. This is something I struggle with all the time. In fact, I made the comment to my wife today. There's a couple of things I want to get done around the house this weekend. And I had to tell her, because you know what? I have to hold myself accountable to make sure. See, what am I doing? I'm creating trust with myself. I'm creating trust with my wife. She stayed married to me, so I guess I must have an element of trust there. I don't know. So.
I love that. You accountability partner and having not even trusting yourself. That is very cool.
I didn't say she would buy. No, I guess she did buy for me, because she did say, yeah, let's get married. So I guess it's work.
Yeah, no, it is. But that's so interesting, isn't it? I love that. It's a shame we even have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Hoped it would be taken for written. It's just, let's get on with the other parts of the selling relationship.
Yeah. I mean, we don't run around talking about air. Wow, I'm breathing some really cool air. You know, we just don't, because it's just there. And yet it's funny that we have to talk about trust. Yeah. It's too bad. Yeah. Oh.
Let's take it for written then, you know, but it doesn't mean we're not thinking it's important. But as you say, you know, actually, if you're trusting in yourself, if you're honest to yourself, you go, no, actually, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And if I do that, then it's for someone else to give me their trust. You know, I can't do much more than that, can I? We can start to really kind of think about some of these other elements of PQ.
Yeah.
So win-win focus. This is another part of Steve Dent's work where he thought about that. Oh dear, that's a kind of a sigh going on. What's all that about?
Well, win-win. See, this is what's so funny, because I love it, because too many times we get into negotiations, and salespeople are really guilty of this. And it's an objective where I'm going to win and you're going to lose. And I really cringe at that. I really get this. Comes back to trust. I mean, this really, think about this. Our ability to create a win-win situation is really built on our ability to create trust. Because if we haven't created trust, guess what? It's going to be really hard to create a win-win situation, because the other person isn't going to trust us. See, I always say this, the higher the degree of trust, the lower the need there will be to negotiate. And what happens when we create a win-win? Here's the key reason that blocks us from creating a win-win is we fail to listen to the customer. We fail to really listen and understand what are their needs. That means we got to be confident. We have to be comfortable sitting back and relaxing. In a couple of hours, I've got a very important sales call with a prospect that I've been working on for about, 5 months. We've had no short of probably about 6 or 7 phone calls, but it is a significant plan I'm putting across the table. It's going to be a 6-figure plan I'm putting across the table to him. And I could not have walked in and delivered this 6-figure plan on the initial meeting, but it's taken all of these steps along the way for me to be able to develop trust. And I feel very confident in the amount of money I'm looking for them to invest because I know what their critical needs are. I know, and I've zeroed in on this. And we're probably going to negotiate, but we're going to create a win-win. And this is what's so key because this person I'm dealing with, the chief revenue officer, this company, has developed a tremendous level of trust in me with the insights that I've been bringing him over the last 5-6 months. We've had 6-7 calls. And what has that done? That allows him to understand that I've got his best interest in mind, just as I look at it and say, I've got his best interest in mind. So it's not a win-lose. No, it's a win-win. And this is the other piece that I love about win-win. Win-win is all about creating the next opportunity. I always say the only good sale is the one that leads to the next sale. Now, if you are viewing a sale as a win-lose, there's no ability for you to get the next sale. But one of the easiest ways that I've found to grow my business is by always saying, how do I position this sale to create the next sale, to create the next opportunity? That you can only do that when you're thinking and when you're acting on win-win. Because when both parties know that you're in a win-win situation, well, that's because there's trust and there's a tremendous amount of confidence and openness in the dialogue. That's what's huge. Right now, I'm in the process of selling my house. Now, that's kind of a funny situation because I'm actually supposed to get an offer on my house today. I don't know these people. I don't know these people at all. And they really don't know me. See, that's going to be a very different type of negotiation. It's going to be a one-off transaction, truly a one-off transaction. Now, the offer may not be right, but I'm still going to treat it with respect because the real estate agent, if it's not correct, I still want to make sure that I have a very strong relationship with that real estate agent because I want that real estate agent to be able to bring me another deal or to help me out with another deal. See, so even in a one-off transaction, there are still situations where you want to be able to create a win-win situation.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned house buying. I bought off my next door neighbor and he bought off the other next door neighbor. We all kind of moved down one.
I love it.
Absolutely, we need to trust, and that is a long-term relationship because we're going to be next door to each other for a long time.
Well, and this is what's interesting because the real estate agent I'm using happens to live across the street from me.
Oh, right.
and one of the reasons I chose him is because I know him, and he lives across the street. See, so he's going to have my, so I feel that he's going to have my. See, there's that level of trust. See, there's that level of trust. Yeah.
In our situation, it was weird. We trusted each other, and neither of us trusted the real estate agent.
Okay. Well,
which was right because they lied. They lied.
Right. Well, that's
right.
Right.
The guy a price. We agreed on it. We had literally handshake over the fence, and then the real estate agent said, "Oh no, he wants more." I said, "Hey, come on, man," and he went, "No, I didn't." I did not say that to them.
But see, that's
naughty.
Naughty. And see what happened there. There was a lack of trust. So as a result, you view every other comment coming out of that person's mouth. I'm not quite sure. You see, this is where we talk about that trust is the foundation of everything. Everything.
To the foundation. I'm also interested in this deal you were talking about, where you said, "Oh, I've had 6 or 7 calls," but then it was the next bit you said it was really interesting, where I was giving them some insights. It wasn't 6 or 7 calls where you were pestering them, desperately trying to get them to put pen to paper. You were saying, "Here's something else. Here's something new. Here's some other bit of thinking for you."
Right. And see what really interesting. And see, that was key, because this is all key in building trust. Because I knew when I get down to the end, I want to be able to put a 6-figure deal across the table to them. You know, it's a sizable deal. So I got to create this high level of trust. And he even made on our last call a week ago, he made the comment, "I'm really anxious. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to share with me next week when we talk." He's actually looking forward to seeing the proposal from me. I love that. I love that.
That's very cool. That's very cool. And I mean, it naturally takes into this next element of PQ, partnering skills. Because I mean, I don't know whether this is going to be a formal business alliance. In many ways, it doesn't matter. I believe that if you're doing business with somebody, effectively you are in partnership with them. Just because the deal isn't structured that way, you are. Because there is a level of interdependence, isn't there? Your success is going to be based on their success, vice versa. You're in it. You're in it together now.
You are in it together. And if you want to damage your reputation, go ahead and have a sale go bad. I mean, you have to make, this is partnering is where we really understand what are the other person's needs. Because here's something that we forget in a sale. Not only is the customer looking to see whether or not they want to invest with us. And I say they don't buy. They do not buy. They invest because they want an outcome. When you bought your neighbor's place, you were making an investment because you see an outcome that you want to achieve. Great, terrific. Now, think about this for a moment. The customer, I'm not selling a product or a service. I'm selling an outcome. I'm selling an outcome. And at the same time, I have to determine whether or not you're the right person I want to do business with. Because I don't care if it's a one-time transaction or a long-term engagement, there's still going to be follow-up communication. There's still going to be follow-up stuff. So I want to make sure that you as an individual are somebody that I can live with. That this is absolutely fundamental. I'll give you a very quick example of a few years ago, I sold a car. And I sold a car to a person, and then he called me like a week later and said, "I want my money back." And I said, "Excuse me, really?" He said, "Yeah, I want my money back. Your car leaks oil." And I said, "Wow, I'm not aware of that problem at all." And I said, should we take it to a garage or something like that? Should we have somebody look at it? And again, I mean, I wasn't inclined to give him back his money because this was, I bought a car, bought a used car, and that had been a week ago. And it was interesting. He called me back, and we were going to arrange a time to meet at a garage and do this. And he called me back a day later. He said, "I owe you an apology." I said, "Really?" Where I had the car parked was where a neighbor had a car parked. Their car was leaking oil. I thought it was yours. No, your car runs great. And that worked out very well. And I think the reason it worked out very well is because I was calm. I wasn't up in arms. I didn't go ballistic with him. I just said, "Well, let's figure out, let's meet at a garage and we'll figure out if this car really leaks." And so we kept the temperature down between us. Again, I could have walked away and said, "Forget it, sure." But I'm not that kind of person. I'm going to respect him, respect his view. I don't know what I would have done because I knew the car wasn't leaking oil. I mean, I knew very well the car wasn't leaking oil. And see, so we were able to get through. And see, this is creating that relationship. And I firmly believe that the relationships we create on sales calls we're making today shape the relationships we make on other sales calls tomorrow. Because again, it's our personality, it's our demeanor, it's our communication style, it's how we react. And each customer visit, regardless of who it is, each customer call builds on the next one, builds on the next one, builds on the next one. And just as it's built on the previous one.
Are you talking not with the same customer? You're talking, for argument's sake, in a person's career.
Yes, in a person's career. Right. Right. That's exactly, because think about this for a moment. If I had gone nuts with this person, again, I don't sell cars. That's not my business. But if I had gone nuts with this person, that probably would have begun to affect other conversations I would have had in other sales calls. See, so it really does. I mean, we have to be very careful about how we respond to every situation. Breathe deep, relax. I was coaching an individual yesterday who was all caught up and stressed out over a problem they were having with a customer that they were about ready to close a deal with. And I said, calm down. I have a really interesting piece of news. The sun is still going to come up in the morning. Right?
Oh
yeah. I mean, just whoa. And because sometimes we get caught up. When I led a sales team, I used to lead a team of about 900 salespeople, and salespeople would come in my office with a big deal, and they were stressed out. They'd want all this help on it. And I would look at them and I go, nothing we do here today is going to change the course of mankind tomorrow. Relax. and someone would freak out. I go, just they would freak out as if I didn't care. I said, no, I absolutely care. But we got to put it in perspective. We're not going to change the course of mankind. Okay. I mean, we're not going to prevent world hunger. We're not going to do something of that nature.
I'm giggling here because my brain works. I told you it's Friday afternoon, and we've got a holiday coming up, and my brain does funny things. I really sometimes don't have a mind for anything, Mark. But my brain has gone, God, I did some work in Norway a little bit back, and the sun didn't come up in the morning.
There you go.
If I get another project there, I'm inviting Mark into this to see what he says there. The sun will come up in the morning. Oh, it won't. No.
I got to share with you something funny, and you will appreciate that. I was telling that to somebody in London, and they said, "Yeah, but you haven't lived in London. The sun doesn't come up a lot of days."
It's supposed to be summer here. We're having a miserable one.
Right.
Dear me. But no, you're right, and it does in a good call. I mean, we know, don't we? Best time to have another sales call is when you just had a good one. When you're on a roll, you do get on a roll, and there's a reason for that, isn't there?
Oh yeah.
Because you start thinking that, I can do this. I'm good at this.
Yeah. Which really brings up an interesting point. The attitude, the mindset you have going into a call is going to determine the success you have coming out of it. I mean, I know this call today is going to go incredibly well. I know it's going to go incredibly well because I'm going with a mindset that I am locked in. This is going to happen. And too many times salespeople go into sales calls. Oh, there's nothing here. This isn't going to work. These are just bad leads. These are bad prospects. Yada yada. And nothing does happen. Your mindset affects your outcome much more than you realize.
And how many times have you played it? How many times have you run through it, either in a visual or kind of even physically setting it up and practicing and going through it? So you've done it already. Continually.
I mean, we have to be continuous, and yet at the same token, we as salespeople have to realize that we can plan the call out beautifully, but we have to be prepared that we're still dealing with a person who wasn't participating with us in the rehearsal. I mean, right? I mean, they weren't with us on the rehearsal, so it may go in a different manner. But what I believe is this. I want to know my material so well. This is a line I love to use. The best sales presentations ever made are the sales presentations never given. Because the salesperson knows their material so well, they're so confident that they can walk in and just have a conversation. They can just walk in and have a conversation. Or, they're on the telly and they just have a conversation. They're on a Zoom call, they just have a conversation. Because if you think about it, that's what if customers wanted a presentation, they could go to YouTube, right? Yeah, what they want a conversation. That's what customers want.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, I'm just thinking, moving on to the next element, where some of these conversations can be pretty tough, and probably should be. And this is where PQ helps us, again, with the mindset and getting a head around what works, because it talks about having strength in self-disclosure and feedback.
Yes.
So giving a bit about yourself, but also telling the customer some stuff about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we've done this sort of thing before. We're dovetailing into it nicely. So I'd love your thinking on this, because you're starting to talk about it anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is so key. One of the confident building lines that we can use with a customer is, what you just described. I've seen this in other customers, and we've been able to help them through it. We've been able to help them see what am I doing? Is that, they don't realize that what you're seeing, that what they just explained to you've seen before. So this gives a real confident feeling. But what I love is, and this is the way you really demonstrate full disclosure. This is the way you really demonstrate yourself, is when you're sitting there and you're willing to ask a customer a question. And salespeople love to ask customers questions that the customer can't answer, but they can answer. And that's how they look so brilliant. I go, that is such a waste. That is such a waste. I want to ask the customer questions that they can't answer and I can't answer. That creates a conversation. Now think about that. Only salespeople who are really confident, only salespeople who are really willing to be vulnerable, salespeople who really build things around trust are going to go down that path. But you want to have a great conversation. You want to really uncover needs. You start asking questions that they can't answer and you can't answer. Then that creates a conversation. That moves you as a salesperson away from vendor, supplier, salesperson. You become a strategic partner with them, regardless of what it is that you're selling.
It's one of the best things a salesperson can hear, isn't it? When somebody goes, "Oh, that's a good question. I need to think about that." Yes, I know, because I've thought about it. It took me time to think about how to ask it and position it for you to do exactly that. I mean, that is kind of the best thing. It's always better than, here's the order, I think. Yeah. It's just going to lead to that anyway, isn't it?
But salespeople who aren't willing to be vulnerable, salespeople who aren't confident, will never go down that path.
I was talking, I did a podcast just recently with the IT director, who I asked him what annoys him about salespeople. And he's like, "Fred, how long have you got? How much recording time have we?" But cut long story short, he's actually labeled some behaviors that he sees so regularly. And he talks about one of them being the condescending pitch.
Right.
Where somebody comes in, they do ask him a question, and it'll be along the lines of, "Mark, have you come across this and this and this tech?" And bear in mind how fast tech's developing. You go, "Oh, actually, no, I haven't." And he says, the tone then kind of makes him out, "Oh, you're an idiot then. Let me tell you about this wonderful piece of kit we've got." And he says, they don't understand that conversation isn't going to go much further.
Right.
It's not making you feel particularly special.
Right. Because
terrible approach.
Because they fail to value the inside of that IT person. I mean, I tell salespeople, if you ask one question, however the customer responds, you want to ask a follow-up question on it.
Yeah.
You want to probe deeper. I go to say, you got to go 3 levels deep. You have to go 3 levels deep. You ask a question, they share with you something. So you ask a question on that to get them to build on it. They share again. And then you ask them another question. And it's only when you get 3 levels deep that you really begin to understand what it is that the customer is looking for. What is it that the needs of the customer are?
Not hoping they're going to say something. Guess what? I'm glad you said that. Off we go. Canned pitch. It's not even that.
Exactly. Canned pitch. Excuse me. It's time to go. Here, just read the pitch and I'll call you later. Yeah. Like, oh man, please, people. See, this is why so many demos go wrong. Because the demo it's a demo. Well, excuse me. That's a YouTube video. I can't. The whole demo concept, we're going to have a demo call that needs to be blown up and thrown out. But we'll save that for podcast
Now
number two.
This would be changing the world.
Yeah.
And the sun wouldn't come up tomorrow.
That would change the world, and the sun would not come up. Yeah, you're right. You're right on that one.
No. As soon as you hear people talk about them, I kind of get in my head this person who's desperate for you to shut up so they can sort of fire up the slides, do their thing. I'm really good at this bit. As somebody once said to me, this bit, I'm really good at presenting. This is my favorite bit. It's irrelevant what your favorite bit is. It just doesn't matter,
Yeah. And my favorite bit is this 235 PowerPoint slides I'm going to share with you in 30 minutes. Oh, please, people.
Spend more time being curious, chatting.
Yes.
Stuff. And this is why I think the feedback part of this, if we call it transparency, is interesting, because sometimes we've got to feedback to the customer that maybe what they're thinking isn't such a great idea. Maybe we are in the relationship with them, we're working, we're going down the line, and they've said they're going to do stuff. We've said we're going to do stuff. We're trustworthy. We do our bits. They're not doing theirs.
Yeah.
We've got to tell them. Some salespeople really struggle with this, don't they?
Oh, they do. You have to be willing. And again, this comes back to the level of confidence. And I think the level of trust that the salesperson has with themselves, that they've got to be upfront and honest with the customer, and don't sit there and play this game with them. This is why I always tell salespeople early on in the prospecting phase, ask tough questions. Ask tough questions. Don't shy away from them, because you want to find out right now, early on, if this is a customer even worth becoming if this person's even willing to be worthy of becoming a customer. Because nothing worse than spending time with a prospect who you think is a prospect, and you ultimately can never get across the finish line to become a customer. That's just wasted time.
And are you, with the questioning there, are you talking about the sort of your band, your Scotsman, your Ment, add in whatever checklist you like, or are you using the questions to go deeper and really kind of try and get a handle on how do they operate? How do they work? Are we actually going to fit nicely here?
Well, I'm asking both, and I'm being a little bit of a ping pong ball, a little bit of a bouncing ball going back and forth, because I've got questions I want to ask. I've got a list of questions I want to get through, but I'm not concerned about going through them 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to get a conversation, and if you want to go down this path, I'm willing to go down that path with you. I'm great. Talk to me. Here's what I found: as long as the customer is always talking, they won't hang up on you. They won't end the call with you. Right. So if I can engage them in a conversation, I had a call like this the other day, and I was not expecting it to go very well at all. It was the first time I talked with the gentleman, and we talked for almost an hour. And then he made the comment, he said, "Wow, I didn't realize we've been talking an hour. Great conversation." He was the one who said, "When are we going to get back together again and talk next?" He was the one who did the call to action. Wow. Think about that.
You're like, no, that's my job.
I know. It's like, hold on, excuse me. Who's selling who? But we got a time set up. I said, great. I'm going to have a proposal. I'm going to have a plan back to you, and I'm looking forward to talking. It was great. Yeah.
Brilliant. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next element of our partnering skills is comfort with change. So change, sales and change, salespeople and change. Talk to me about that.
Well, I'm happy with change. Why don't you change first? Okay. That's right.
Oh,
right.
Love
right.
it.
It's like
moving on.
Everybody says, oh yeah, I'm comfortable with change, but they always expect the other person to change. They don't expect themselves to change. Yeah. That's we as salespeople have to be a little bit like a chameleon. We have to be able to change and adapt. There are selling styles that I'm going to have for certain types of industries that I sell to. And they're going to be different from other industries I sell into, and we have to be willing to change. We have to be willing to adapt. If I'm selling to an engineering company, they operate in a very precise manner. If I'm selling to a German-based company, you know this very well, right? I mean, German people and Japanese people, very precise, very, very exact, very spot on. I had a conversation earlier in the week with a company out of Portugal. And we spent the first 15 minutes just talking about food. Again, I mean, we have to be willing to adapt and change with whoever it is that we're dealing with. And change also means, because in this COVID environment globally that we're dealing with, we have to realize that sometimes those in-person calls are now telephone calls, or they're now Zoom calls, or whatever. We have to be prepared. Here's what I say. The outcome we create has not changed. The outcome we create does not change. The medium and the process we use to get there is continuously changing. That's where we have to remain flexible. That's where we have to say, what's working here, what's not working.
And I believe it is down to the salesperson to make that change. It has to be. We're the ones who need to show that flex.
Yes,
that's part of the skill. I mean, for me, it's pretty obvious, but there's some guys seem to struggle with this a little bit.
Oh,
that's the way I work. No, this is how we do it.
Oh, yes.
That's how this works. Well, it's too important to do on the phone. Have you ever heard that one?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Well, think about the number of salespeople when we first came into COVID, and suddenly you couldn't go out and meet with people. Right. I mean, I had a lot of salespeople just said, "Well, I've always gone door to door. I've always had face-to-face calls." And now they're finally starting to realize that they can actually have more sales calls in a day by using the tele or using, Zoom or whatever it might be. I'm amazed. I mean, I'm not traveling. I used to travel about 250 days a year, and I'm traveling very little now. And I'm amazed at how much more work I'm doing, how much more productive I am. Yeah.
And things haven't suffered as a result, have they?
Oh, they do now. For instance, people pay me to be on their podcast. So I by the way, I haven't gotten that check yet.
Oh God, that's amazing. I normally got a good broadband here, but it just seemed to break at that stage.
Yeah, it's only 400 pounds. I'm not. It's okay. It's okay.
If I'm going to pay, you're going to have to explain to me what you mean by the telly. Do you mean the telephone, or are you referring to being on screen as being on the telly?
I'm referring to the telephone. But see, I'm trying to play to you as being a Brit. When I talk to Brits, they talk about the telly. So, okay, the telephone. Okay, I'm sorry.
I know for us, the telly is the TV.
Okay. So
I got a vision of you plugging your computer into your main television, sat in your big armchair, all settled for another day's work.
Boy,
massive 86-inch television.
Boy, we need to rewind this podcast and shoot it again. I apologize.
Not a problem. No, not a problem at all. Particularly because I want to talk about the future anyway.
The future. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've gone through 5 elements of partnering skills. We've talked about the trust bit, but we keep coming back to trust. Every single element we've come back to trust.
Right.
We've talked about win-win. We've talked about interdependence. We get back to trust. We talked about this self-disclosure feedback element, which is easier if you trust people. Change. Talked about that. And the last part is future orientation, which again, I would suggest a good salesperson should have buckets of. So again, why is that such a key thing?
Well, it's absolutely essential, because think about it. Customers don't buy things for today, unless it's food or something like that. They're buying it for some sort of a future benefit. So I'm always asking myself, where's this company going to be? Where's this customer going to be 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And my goal is to try to get ahead of them, because if I can get ahead of them and help bring them ideas and insights that they had not seen or they had not thought of, what does that do? That makes me more valuable. Same thing with my own process. I have to realize that the internet is eliminating a lot of sales positions. Let's not kid ourselves. I mean, 10 or 15 years ago, if you wanted to book an airline reservation, you called up and you got somebody on the telephone, okay, telephone, and you got somebody on the telephone, and you would make the reservation. Today, you make it totally online without any human interaction whatsoever. So what I say is this: the future of sales, and I talk about it in my book, A Mind for Sales. I got a whole chapter on it. If I'm in a transactional, if I'm a transactional salesperson, my job is going to be eliminated because, AI, artificial intelligence, can handle it much better than I can. This is what's going to make, I think, future of sales be much more global, much more specific, and much more service oriented, because our customer base is going to be far more global than it's ever been before, because we're going to be far more specific in how we sell and what we sell, because we have to be able to be encompassing in terms of the outcome the customer is looking for, not just the transaction. Oh, I need to go from London to Paris. I need to go from, whatever, and I want to leave at 10 a.m. and, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. No, agreed. Yeah. And so the insights tend to be helping somebody to future scope, helping them look forward. You talk about outcomes, that's what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Probably not tomorrow, but some way down the line.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's such an important area. I think it affects decision making as well. In that often people try and make decisions based on what's happened before, but if we orient them back to look at where we're trying to go, look at this combined vision we have, look at the goals that we've said we can achieve together, that, again, the salesperson that can keep nudging people back with that focus is going to be more successful.
Much more. Yeah.
Brilliant. One more question for you.
Sure.
So we are going to jump on a plane. We're allowed. I'm not allowed at the moment, but let's say we're going to jump on the plane. We're going to go to a part of the world where you and I are going to do some good with our own fair hands. Yeah, we're not going to use any of this tech and all this stuff's available. We're going to do some good. Are we going to go to Africa, Asia, or Latin America? And why?
I don't care where we go. Every one of those areas has got people, and I want to be able to get off the plane with you and start having conversations. We're going to have conversations with those people, and we're going to be able to find out what their needs are, and we're going to find a way to help them. I don't care where in the world I land. Does not matter.
I'll pick one then. The only reason I want to do it is what I like to do in lieu of payment to podcast guests is, no, I do like to make a donation on our behalf. So I'll make the donation because you've given up some time to talk to me and to, hopefully we're going to help salespeople with this. And I donate, or I give impact through B1G1, which is Business for Good, which is aligned to the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals. And I align to number 4, which is about education. So what I will do is I will make a donation around some business education to one of those areas.
Hey, terrific. I love it.
As a thank you.
I love it. Yeah, that's cool. That's neat. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. I mean, I know you're a busy guy. You've got to get your brain into this next meeting. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, the best way is the website, thesaleshunter.com, and it's trademarked in countries all over the world. Don't try to steal it. Thesaleshunter.com. And of course, the book is A Mind for Sales. It's available wherever books are sold. And I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on YouTube. I'm out there. It's called the World Wide Web for a reason. It's worldwide. I'm out there.
You are, and you give a lot of good stuff, just like you've done now. So look, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Great to finally catch up.
We finally did it. And you are heading into a long weekend. Congratulations.
I know. Thank you so much.